So you made the mistake of tweeting that you wanted to run a superhero-themed D&D game. After being told to kill yourself about 100 times for supporting that evil, toxic company Wizards of the Coast, someone who doesn't hate themselves replies, "Hey, you should check out this game. It's called Masks. It's about teenage superheroes. I think you'd really like it." So the question is, should you play it? Alright, let's try this with a mic on this time. What's up, friends and bored YouTubers? My name's Austin, aka the Tabletop Bro, and I'm just gonna come right out and say it. I love Masks. This is probably my favorite RPG to play right now, and I've got a game regularly going with a couple of my friends every month. Just because I love this game doesn't mean that you'll love this game. If you're like my D&D group that I ran for almost a year, you might absolutely hate this game. So today I'm just gonna go over a couple quick things to help you figure out whether or not Masks is the right game for you. So in case you don't really know what Masks is, it's a PBTA game about insecure teenage superheroes. Kind of think of it like Teen Titans or My Hero Academia or yeah. So let's talk about why you might actually really like this game. Well, first off, it's about superheroes. And if the Marvel Cinematic Universe's just absolute dominance over the media landscape for the past decade has told us anything, people frickin' love superheroes. Specifically, it's about teenage superheroes. Who didn't love Teen Titans? Teen Titans is frickin' awesome. In fact, this game might as well be called Teen Titans. The game. It's super cool. You can tell all these really cool superhero stories that you can't really tell in another game system like D&D. I mean, I guess you could, but you'd have to like homebrew a bunch of stuff, and if it got out on Twitter, people would crucify you because people hate D&D, but you get the idea. Kind of the second major strength of it is super easy to pick up and play. Unlike some other games that have a 300-page rulebook, a 600-page rulebook, those are the only two systems I have. The rulebook for Masks is super short for players, and it's super easy to kind of comprehend and pick up. There's not a lot of rules to the game, and if you have an experienced DM like I did, it's even more simple. Now, I know the experienced DM thing kind of applies to pretty much every tabletop game, but there's so much fewer things to worry about in Masks, and it makes it a lot more open and freeform and cool in that way. You can really tell the story that you want to tell. The third thing kind of ties into the second thing. Because there aren't a ton of super hard, rigid rules, it's super easy to pick up and play. And the third thing, because the rules are super simple and it's super easy to pick up, it gives you a lot of free form of what you want to do. So the classes, aka playbooks, aren't based around superpowers like, oh, you could be the frost guy or the super strength guy. They're based around archetypes that you would see in superhero fiction. So for example, you have the Beacon, who's like the total normie that's just there because he wants to be there. Or you have the Prodigy, who's Robin, or you have like the Supernova, who's like Jean Grey, and it gives you a lot of flexibility over your powers and what you want to do. So for example, if you want to jump through a wormhole using your super strength and punch Iron Guy in the face, sending him to the 12th dimension, you can do that. You just roll for danger. It's not like a, well, you need to activate your punch spell after you roll for jump. Like, no, it's not that. So there's a couple of things that I really like about the game, some of my friends really like about the game, but like I said, a group of my friends really did not like this game, and you might not either. And there's a couple of reasons for that. For one, kind of tying in with the last pro, it's super rules light, which means if you're more into the game aspect of the role-playing game, you might be overwhelmed a little bit. And I don't mean that in like a condescending way. When I tried running it for my D&D group, they were confused. They're like, I don't like not having an inventory. I don't like having set moves. You're saying I can do anything? Well, that's weird. That doesn't make sense. We're playing pretend right now. We're not playing a game, let alone that all RPG playing is playing pretend. So it could be overwhelming to you, and that's totally okay. That's totally fine. It's not your game. Building off on that, the second thing that really turned my D&D group off is it is incredibly roleplay heavy. You're playing teenage superheroes. The whole rule set of the game is based around the personalities of these teenage superheroes. If you're not comfortable getting into character, even from a third-person perspective, which my group was not, they're not gonna have a good time. D&D can back off. You don't really have to be in character. You're like, oh, I'm running a dwarf cleric, and you know, it's gamey. It's like, wow. Whereas in Masks, you're telling a story about people, and you know, different strokes for different folks. Some people just don't like that kind of experience, and that's okay. It's just not the game for you. And the final con about Masks is that it does a very specific thing very well. But if you want to branch out from that, it's not going to be the game for you. You are playing insecure teenage superheroes who don't have this fully formed self-perception of themselves. So if you want to play Captain America just smashing baddies with your shield, most of the game mechanics are not tailored to that playstyle. If you're like my friend Mark and you have a very specific idea of what you want to do, who you want your character to be, well, this game is about characters who are unsure of who they are, and so it might not be the game for you. You might want to look at some of the other superhero RPGs that exist out there, because I know there are some. Or you can just, you know, homebrew D&D and just set the internet on fire. So as I mentioned before, I love this game. I could talk about it forever, but videos can only be so long before you click off if you haven't done so already. If you're still here, please click the button right over here, that little subscribe button if you want to see more. I'd really appreciate it, and I hope to see you on the next one.